Namaste students. Hope all of you are staying safe and cheerful at home. Welcome to the English language class of Tenses, which is a continuation class. Assured that you have understood the previous class, we shall move on to the next part of the topic. We shall take up present perfect continuous tense. The structure of the present perfect continuous tenses sentence comprises of subject plus has or had plus been plus first form of the verb continued with ing. Now this is the structure of the sentence. The present perfect continuous is used for an action which began at some time in the past and is still continuing. Example, she has been sleeping for 5 hours and is still sleeping. So that's the action continuing. They have been building the bridge for several months. The construction is still continued. This tense is sometimes used for an action already finished. In such cases, the continuity of the activities is emphasized as an explanation of something. That means it depends on something. Why are your clothes so wet? I have been watering the garden. In the next example, I have been flying a kite since 2 o'clock. Hope you could connect the examples to the explanation there. Moving on to the next slide. Here, in this, we will explain or understand simple past tense. Now, the simple past tense has the second form of the verb where the verb ends with ed or s generally. The simple past is used to indicate an action completed in the past. It often occurs with adverbs or adverb phrases of past time. Example, the steamer sailed yesterday. Now, sailed denotes that. And in the next example, she left school last year. Left school last year denotes adverb phrases. Then, sometimes this tense is used without an adverb of time. In such cases, the time may be either implied or indicated by the context. Now, what do you mean by the context? The context is the circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea, which gives complete meaning of the sentence on its own, which now we can see in the example. That is, I learned Hindi in Nagpur. I did not sleep well. That's obviously last night. Babar defeated Rana Sanga at Kanwaha. Time is not denoted, but the action has taken place. The simple past is also used for past habits. Example, he studied for many hours every day. She always carried an umbrella. Let's move on to the next one. Past continuous tense. Now, the past continuous tenses sentence has a structure which comprises of subject plus was or were depending on the singular or the plural subject plus first form of the verb adding ing. The past continuous is used to denote an action going on at some time in the past. The time of the action may or may not be indicated. Example, we were listening to the radio all evening. It was getting darker. The light went out while I was reading. In the next, this tense is also used with always, continually, etc. for persistent habits in the past. Example, he was always grumbling. She continuously works on computer. Can you make out the usage of always and continuously there, which is used as past continuous tense? Yes. Let's move on to the next one. Past perfect tense. Now again, the structure is divided with subject plus had plus third form of the verb. The past perfect describes an action completed before certain moment in the past. I met him in New Delhi in 1970. I had seen him last 5 years before. Can you make out the completion of action just before certain moment in the past? Yes. The next example, the train had left before I reached the station. If two actions happened in the past, it may be necessary to show which action happened earlier than the other. The past perfect is mainly used in such situations. The simple past used in one clause and the past perfect in the other. Example, when I reached the station, the train had started. So the outcome is obviously I couldn't get into the train. When I reached the station, the train had started. Can you make out the difference? Yes. In the next example, I had done my exercise when Hari came to see me. I had done my exercise. The action was over when Hari came to see me. Here, I want you all to remember one thing. It's a note. We often make a mistake while using the past perfect tense. We use had randomly. For example, in a sentence, I had gone to Delhi yesterday. The usage of had gone should be formed in a simple past by using went. Instead of using had gone, you are supposed to use went. I hope you understood this. Let's move on to the next slide. Past perfect continuous tense. Now, this structure comprises of subject plus had plus been plus present participle. The past perfect continuous tense is used for an action that began before a certain point in the past and continued up to that time. Now, let me be clear with the meaning of present participle before I read out the examples. The present participle is a word formed from a verb which ends with ing, which ends in ing generally. Now let me reiterate the explanation. The past perfect continuous tense is used for an action that began before a certain point in the past and continued up to that time. Example, at that time, he had been writing a novel for 2 months. The next example explains better. When Mr. Mukherjee came to the school in 1965, Mr. Anand had already been teaching there for 5 years. I hope you can connect the examples to the explanation above. Yes. Simple future tense. Now, simple future tense and its structure comprises of shall or will plus verb. That is, in this, we use shall or will between the subject and the first form of the verb. The simple future is used for an action that has still to take place. Example, I shall see him tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Sunday. There is a note to be remembered that the simple future tense generally expresses pure or colorless future. When the future is colored with intention, the going to plus infinite construction is preferred. Example, he is going to build a new house. Hope you understood this part. Now the next one talks about future continuous tense. Future continuous tense and its structure is a combination of will or shall plus be plus verb followed with ing form. The future continuous represents an action as going on at some time in future time. Example, I shall be reading the paper then. When I get home, my children will be playing. This tense is also used for future events that are planned or arranged or thought of. Example, I'll be staying here till Sunday. That is what is planned. I will be meeting us. He will be meeting us next week. That is what is being thought of. Now the next subheading is future perfect tense, and the structure comprises of shall or will plus have plus third form of the verb. Now the future perfect tense is used to express an action which is expected to be completed by a certain time in the future. Let's see how it is explained. The future perfect is used to indicate the completion of an action by a certain future time. Example, I shall have written my exercise by that time. Before you go to see him, he will have left the place. Now, to make it more interesting, I will tell you a note to remember. In a complete sentence of future perfect tense, we use shall or will only in the principal clause. That is the main clause, main sentence. Hope you have understood this. Now let's move on to future perfect continuous tense. Now the structure of this tense comprises of shall or will plus have been plus verb plus ing form. The future perfect continuous indicates an action represented as being in progress over a period of time that will end in the future. Example, by next July, we shall have been living here for 4 years. So if it was planned properly, by next July, we shall have been living here for 4 years. The same way, when he gets his degree, he will have been studying at Oxford for 4 years. Hope you have understood this part, children. With this, we have completed the topic tenses, and I will be giving you an assignment related to tenses, which needs to be completed in your classwork. And you will get the answer key in the next video. Hoping that you will complete the assignment and be ready for the next video, I will conclude the session. Thank you.